you and I had our own separate impressions of the 49ers after the first two games, which were wins, but squeaky, a little squeaky wins.
Squeaky.
Squeaky. Then they played a challenging game against a B plus team, not an A team.
Yeah.
Packers.
Right.
And they got beat. So my question
Another squeaker.
It was another squeaker. They played three
Yeah.
squeakers.
Yeah.
Squeaker is the operative word.
Yeah.
So my question is this, Iggy. What was your impression of them or your perception of them after two games? Has it changed after the loss, and in what way?
Yeah. My perception of them after the first two games were that they weren't as good as their record. 2-0, undefeated. I thought they were playing kind of mediocre football, going down to the wire with teams that aren't going to make the playoffs. And I guess I saw this loss to the Packers as sort of validating my impression from before. Doesn't change my impression. Does it change yours?
Yes, it does.
How?
Many times on this broadcast, when we've talked about the Niners and where they stack up in the NFC West, I have used the phrase, I'm all in on the Niners. And after they won the first two games, I still felt I'm all in on the Niners. A win is a win. And that's
Sure.
what I've learned. There is a win's a win.
Right.
But after they got beat by the Packers and the way they got beat, the way they fell behind and the way they lost so dishearteningly at the end, it makes me think that I had overestimated them, that I had overrated them. So from going to feeling that I'm all in on the 49ers, and I know it's just one loss, and I know the fans are probably the Lowell's a schmuck. Okay. I would have to say, based on three games, they're the number 3 ranking team in the NFC West. I would rank them Rams, Cardinals, Niners, Seahawks as of now. So although they've stayed constant in your evaluation, they plummeted in mine.
Yeah, I just think it's tough locally to criticize a team that's 2-0 or predict a loss for a team that's 2-0. And often when the Niners start hot, I look at the team and think, well, it's not as good as it looks. I mean, in 2019, they were blowing teams out. It was hard to quibble with it. But it's hard to be that guy after a loss. It's like, well, it wasn't that good of a win. They could have won by more. It could have. That's never fun. But I think in this game, you kind of look back. It's like, well, this was a lot like the Eagles game. The Niners not scoring in the first half, really not playing well. But the Eagles couldn't do anything about it. The Packers were up 17-0 quick. And that made it like the Niners had a dramatic comeback, but it wasn't enough. So it was a little bit validating, and they have 14 games left, and they can definitely improve. But they could have improved from week 1 to week 3, and they really haven't. They're the same team.
I'm actually persuaded. I have to sadly agree with you that so it's interesting. You saw this all along, and I'm not a fan, but I certainly watch it very closely, and I have to feel that I was over optimistic.
Doesn't mean they're a bad team. It just doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to go to the Super Bowl like they did 2 years ago. Not sure that they're as good as they were in that year.
And
we'll see.
In addition, keeping it in the context of the NFC West, I put two teams ahead of them currently. Things change. There's 14 games to go. But those are two good teams.
And then now you got the Packers too that would loom in front of the Niners in the playoffs. And the Niners, I think what was so disheartening about this loss for Niner fans is they always handled the Packers 2 years ago. Like the Packers were not an issue for the 49ers. Now that's another team they got to worry about with a great quarterback who looks very confident against them.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had tweeted all week long. That's about my extent of sports writing these days, tweeting that if the Niners hit and hurt Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't like it, and he might cash it in.
Right.
We never found out because, Iggy, what you said in one of your broadcasts, which killed me, he could have been doing his taxes back there.
Yeah.
That's what you said. It was, we laughed, your mom and I laughed out loud at that. It's true. I never saw a guy never under duress.
No. Now, he got rid of the ball fairly quickly, but that's, again, because the Niners couldn't cover anyone and people were open right away. So they got problems. But we knew they had problems when Jason Verrett went down. This has kind of been – we knew they had problems at cornerback before Jason Verrett went down.
Right.
So, again, I guess I feel a little validated. I hate to feel validated at the 49ers expense, and I'm not rooting against them, but that was a very interesting game. the way
Right.
unfolded.
Let's be real clear, and then we'll move
Yeah.
on to our next topic. You're
Yeah.
not rooting against them.
No.
You're analyzing. And
Yes.
in your analysis, you did not rank them as highly as I did.
Right.
And let's say, and this is important because things change so
Yes.
fast in the NFL. In a couple of weeks, we could change our positions again. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean we're inconsistent. It means life is inconsistent.
Well, what's interesting about football, not necessarily nice, is the teams change so much in the course of weeks because there's so many injuries. So we don't know what the Niners will look like in 3 weeks. They might be healthier than the Rams. The
Good
Rams could
point.
look totally different. So right now we have a perception of them, but it's a 17-game season. There's 14 games left.